change is inevitable. The world is changing. It's consistently changing. So what do we do about it? Well, here we are, YouTube. Subscribers, friends, family. In a world that's changing, ever changing. And we look at it and say, but I've always done things this way. We've always done it this way. And ever changing. And people don't like it. It's very understandable that you don't like it. But it is what it is. The only thing that I can see that we could possibly do about it is let it happen. Just let it. And because I look back on my life, I was born in 1944, June, just after D-Day, the war, World War II. And since then, there has been extreme changes. And even in my little hometown, my little village that I grew up in, I saw quaint changes, like telephones coming in, TVs being brought into homes, and people getting to sit and watch people perform on the television and stuff. But I didn't see the bigger things that was going on out there, because we had a little newspaper. I didn't read the newspaper. We did have a little bit of news channel, and we could see different things on the TV and stuff. And then, of course, when our President Kennedy got assassinated, I seen that, which that kind of took me back a little bit. That bothered me at 17. And but when you think about it, change has always been going on. It's just that we didn't have the privilege of the internet and email and all of this stuff coming to us instantly. We have YouTube, but people are creating scenarios that some are true and some aren't true. And we get all caught up in all of that. And in our mind's eye, because somebody said it, it must be true. And back in I'm not sure whether it was World War I or World War II, the Japanese had, her name was Rosie, and she would come on over the loudspeaker and tell our soldiers that their fight was useless, that they might as well give up. Even though she was trying to portray this, I care about what happens to you. That went on to drive our troops crazy and to give up. Well, we look at all the changes going on today, and we think, my God, we're not going to survive. We're not going to be able to do it. So, but if you go back in time, back before even telegraph, and people were settling across the North American continent before they formed the United States. People from another country was coming over here and settling across the land. And they'd set up their little homes, their little prairie houses, set up little farm-like areas, while at the same time, while they were doing that, the Constitution and stuff that had started over here in Virginia on the shores, that was slowly growing and then started forming in capitals, different cities and different towns across this country. But the people that were out here in the prairie didn't know any of that was going on. They were forming their own little world. And if they did happen to go into a nearby town to see about buying supplies and stuff, well, if there was any changes, they possibly stumbled upon the changes. There was no instant email telling them that they're going to do this. There wasn't even newspapers at that point in time to tell them the big changes that was going on in the country. And so therefore they had nothing to worry about other than whether or not their crops were going to make it, whether or not their animals that they were growing were going to have enough rainwater, enough grass to graze on, and whether or not the Indians were going to come and steal their children away, or they didn't want to kill the Indians any more than probably the Indians wanted to kill them. But there were savage Indians that didn't like people coming in and taking over their land and their bison and their food supply and so forth. But there was constant changes going on back then, but the people of the land at that time didn't know it, didn't realize it was going on. Like I said, they only knew what was going on in their own little world. But there's always been evolutionary changes, and humanity created all the changes. Somebody get a grand idea, well, I can make this better, and it'd be more convenient for us. So whatever idea it was. So now here we are, fast forward to today, that they've made so many big dramatic changes. Microwave ovens, towers that we can get signals from space. We can get radio stations signaling from France. And just all the many different evolution and the changes that have happened. The internet that gives us information instantly. These phones that we can talk on thousands of miles away to somebody, or get a message from them. But then, of course, it along comes with the medical, all the changes in the medical, all the people are charging for everything nowadays when it used to be free, but they didn't see those changes going on back when. Because like I said, they lived their own little bubble, own little world out there. There was nobody communicating to them that they started the idea of home canning into a big corporation to make money off of the people, which so slowly has pushed out home farming and taking care of your own food supplies and stuff, which it isn't completely done, but it's a process that's working on it. But there's changes coming, folks. More changes than we care to even think about. And I say just let it. Because again, humanity has, what's the word I want to use? We're built. We got the building blocks within our DNA, within our brain. Because they say that humanity only used 10% of their brain. And a lot of humans don't even do that. But we have the innate ability within our DNA, within our thoughts and our feelings, because our feelings put out frequency. And the universe is made out of energy. You can never create or destroy energy. It just moves along into another form. So we have that ability in us to change our own little world. Whatever information's going on out there, whatever changes are going on out there, yeah, I grant you we have to make some changes because of all of that changes going on out there. But it's up to us and not stand and fight the change, because there's a lot of people that like those changes. If we don't want nothing to do with those changes, which to some extent we have to find a ways around it. That's the only thing, the lack of a better word to say. We have to use that power within us to not allow those great changes that are happening to bother us to the point where we can't live our own individual lives, our own little family lives. So I say just let the changes happen, because there ain't anything we can do about it out there. The only thing we can do about it is within us, in our own little world. So if you don't like the big changes that are going on, then we've got to change this. If we don't want to hear all that communication about the Pony Expresses coming in and sending, tossing us a letter into our yard and saying this and saying that, get rid of all of that. If you don't want to live that kind of life, get rid of your phone, get rid of your computers, get rid of your TV, get rid of your radios, and don't listen to it. Make your own little changes in what you need in your own world. Like again, I said, change is coming whether we want it or not. It's been that way since the beginning of time. Because humans are curious, humans think, have different ideas, and we were made to create. So that's what they're out there doing. They're creating their own ideas, and we have the ability to create our own ideas within our own little world. Let them do their thing. You do your thing in your own little world, and let it be. Because if you believe you can, or if you believe you can't, you're right. You have a great day.